Hello and welcome to Box Free with Stephanie. Today I want to show you how to make some basic foods with simple ingredients from scratch. And I hope you discover cooking box free is fast and delicious. So let's cook together. Today we're going to make tiramisu, which is that amazing Italian dessert with the custard and the ladyfingers and the coffee. I just love it. Even though I don't really drink coffee, I love coffee things. So I have my little powdered espresso here, which you can buy locally. I have 3/4 of a cup of pretty warm water. I actually bring mine to almost a boil on the stove because my tap water is not very hot. But you just need it basically hot enough to kind of melt your powdered mix. So I'm adding 3 tablespoons of espresso powder. And then I'm just going to stir that. And then I'm going to put it in this little bowl here. And that's where, oh my gosh, it smells so good. That's where it will just sit the whole time. So I'm just going to whip this up quickly. And you want pretty much of a flat bowl. You certainly don't want a bowl like this. You need something that your lady fingers will fit in. And here's a lady finger, so it really does fit in the bottom of my bowl very nicely. So that's the kind of bowl you need for your espresso so that you can dip your fingers in a few minutes. There's kind of a few steps to make tiramisu, but it's so worth it. It's just absolutely delicious in my opinion. And I'm making mine in a loaf pan because you don't need a very big piece of this. And so I feel like you don't need a gigantic amount unless you're going to serve a gigantic amount of people, then you might want it. But this serves a good, well, for sure 8, if not 10 or whatever, kind of whatever size you want. Okay, so there's our espresso. I'm going to just stick that over here. Okay, now in here I have about 1 inch of water that's quite hot. I'm trying to get it warm, and I'm going to take my glass bowl. This is basically my double boiler. Put my glass bowl over it, and then I'm adding 3 egg yolks, which have been sitting out for like half an hour or something just to kind of get them warmed up. Oops, hang on 1 second. Before I put this, I need to do my sugar and my egg yolks first. So I'm doing 1/3 of a cup of sugar with my 3 egg yolks. And then I'm going to blend that nicely before I put it on the heat. So maybe I should, yeah, that should be fine, right? Yeah. Egg yolks and sugar. Okay. All right. And what this is called zebaglione, and that in itself can be its own dessert. It basically becomes this really yummy custard. Okay, I'm just going to do it right now because it takes a while. So this becomes its own little custard that you can serve with like fresh fruit, or you can eat it plain. It doesn't really matter. But I want you to notice how yellow this is, because what we're going to do is wait for it to warm up very delicately and slowly, but it's going to warm up and cook my eggs just a little bit to make them a little bit paler, and then to dissolve my sugar. So that's when I know that when it's done. And you kind of have to sit here and whisk this almost the whole time. And my water, again, is not boiling, so you can see the steam maybe coming up. I do have steam coming up, but you don't really want a rolling boil with all this crazy heat. You want this to be just very softly heated, I guess, lightly heated. And then you just sit and whisk it, and eventually, after about 3 to 5 minutes, you will see that your granulated sugar should not be so dotted along the edge of your bowl. So right now, you guys can't see it probably, but I can see that it looks like there's 1,000,000 dots in my mixture, and that's all my granulated sugar. And I don't really want that. I don't really know what would happen if you made tiramisu without it being like so perfectly heated and the granular sugar melted, But this way you're kind of guaranteed that ultra smooth custard, which in my opinion makes an ultra delicious tiramisu. So I can already tell that this is getting paler in color. I don't know if you can see it on my whisk here, but it is lightening in color. And that's a good sign. So we're doing okay. And my little millions of dots are getting a little bit bigger, which I think that means that they're like starting to melt and expand. So let's see, what do I do then? I whip the cream and then I whisk the mascarpone and vanilla. Okay, so I was thinking I had time to do something else while I'm waiting, but I don't really, because this is coming along beautifully. But what I do have is I have 1 cup of heavy whipping cream in here that I am going to whip in just a second. And then, oh, that's why I need my other bowl. I have 8 ounces of mascarpone cheese, which it says right on it's for tiramisu. And this is like a very smooth cheese. It's not quite like cream cheese. It doesn't have the same tang. But you can find that in the stores. It's usually in like the fancy cheese section, not like where you buy, you know, grated cheddar or whatever. But everything that I use, I buy locally. So it's, you know, not difficult to find these ingredients. Okay, and this is looking pretty good. So what I usually do is I kind of put a little dot and I feel for granulated sugar, and I can still feel it. And then I just lick it off my fingers. And then I wipe it on my apron. And that's how cooking goes in my real household here. But it's almost done. And again, I don't really know that the granulated sugar being super smooth is like critical, but it only takes another minute. And like, why wouldn't I want it to be the best I can be? It can be. Okay, so now when my yellow stuff kind of goes against my bowl, I don't see as many tiny little dots. I see some, but I'm gonna give it just another minute. And in the meantime, I need to get out my other bowl. And I'm going to, oopsie, just dropped that. I'm going to put my mascarpone in this bowl because I'm going to mix this with my vanilla. This is what really gives it that nice creamy texture also. So I'm just going to scoop every little bitty bit out of here because it's a really nice cheese. And it is actually cheese, so I guess if you're lactose intolerant, it won't be your friend, but this whole thing won't be your friend. So, okay, I'm nervous now. It's been sitting here on the heat. Okay, it looks really good. Oh, and then this almost starts to, when your sugar starts to actually cook, it forms almost like a skin over it. But basically, this is the zabaglione, which I have eaten by itself with some fresh fruit. And it's just a little bit too rich for me. Like, it's just so sweet. So this little bitty amount would definitely serve like 3 people, possibly 4, because you just need, you know, like those itty bitty dessert glasses with this. And then the Italians eat it for dessert, right like this. This is your zabaglione custard. I don't know if they officially call it custard, but this is it. Okay, so now I'm going to do the test again. And now I don't feel as many granules, just a little bit. Yeah, it's just like really sweet sugar or something. It's really kind of crazy. But I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to just set this right here. Try to push this really hot thing over here. Actually, I'm going to move this over here because, yeah, I don't want that hot water by me. That's just like asking for an accident, right? With my clumsiness. Okay. So, all right. So we got our zabaglione, our espresso. Okay, this. I'm going to do, I need to get my whisk. I'm not really going to clean my whisk, which I don't know. I don't know how I do it before. I must never clean it either. So now I'm going to just whisk this before I do my cream, just for the fun of it. And all I'm really doing with my mascarpone is just trying to get it smooth a little bit, which, I mean, that's not working very well. But I do need to add a teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm going to do that. And then that little bit of liquid might help it whip up a little bit better. Oopsie. And I don't really remember, I don't think I usually use my beater whisker, my electric whisker. I just do it by hand. I don't really know why, and this does not feel normal. But that's all I'm really going for. Okay, I don't know, maybe I do use an electric thing, but I swear I say by hand. So yeah, I must just deal with it all the time. I don't make this very often because it's so rich, and you just don't need a lot of tiramisu, but I'm making it today, and so I must just deal with this all the time. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, you know, those painful things you forget, like how much of a hassle it kind of is, because it's the end result is so worth it. So now my stuff is, my mascarpone's very smooth, kind of. It almost looks like ricotta cheese, you know, which maybe kind of is ricotta. Just a fancy, nice ricotta. Okay, so now I'm going to whip my cream until it forms soft peaks. So here we go. Okay, I'm calling this, you know, like if you look, it's like a soft peak. Boy, I'm really licking my fingers a lot today. Oh, well. Okay, and then when you're making tiramisu, you don't add any sugar or anything else to your cream. I like this dessert, well, because it just tastes really good, because it has coffee and stuff. But I also like it because it really doesn't have very much sugar in it. Like I did 1/3 of a cup in this. There's no sugar here, no sugar here. Like, and then there is sugar in the lady fingers, I guess. So that's where you get it. But now I'm going to add my egg mixture into my mascarpone mixture, right? Pour the egg into that, and then I do my whipped cream. Okay, so now I'm going to use my spoon, and I'm gonna, so now you can see that this is really yellow, and it looks really smooth and looks beautiful. And it has cooled a little bit, because I wouldn't really want to add it if it was like super hot right off the stove into my mascarpone. Mascarpone, I don't know how to say it, I can't remember, but it's just yummy. We'll just say the yummy stuff. Okay, so now I guess I'll try to just stir with this little gadget. Yeah. So this you don't really care if you beat too much, but once you add your whipped cream into this, then you need to fold gently, and like you don't want to like stir like crazy because you don't want to lose all your structure from your whipped cream. But here I want to use my whisk because I can see that I have little bitty clumps of things, and I don't really want that in this. I want this to be really nice and smooth. And then I'm going to add my whipped cream, which is also smooth. Oh yeah, this is so much nicer. So now you can see it's really nice and smooth instead of having any kind of lumpy dumpy stuff. Okay, it's coming along. We're almost done, because then it's just assemble and it's pretty easy. Whoopsie. Oh boy. Okay. Now I'm going to kind of get ready to assemble, because I like to add this like when I'm really ready to do the final thing. And I have all these like lady fingers that are kind of open. So we are just going to slide them over here. And these don't taste very good by themselves, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. People eat them for coffee and stuff, but I'm not a big fan of that. So, okay. So now I am ready to do the scary part, which is to combine this and fold it in very delicately. So I start with half, just because I feel better. I don't know. I'm not sure if you have to, but I'm just going to fold it in until I don't have any stripes of white or yellow. And everything is kind of together as a very pale yellow. Okay, so that's kind of what that looks like. There are some stripes, but not very many. And I need to get all this in there. So you can see how soft this is. I mean, I think this is pretty soft. I tend to whip my cream like quite a bit. So maybe it would be considered like stiff peaks that I use like on desserts and things. But I want some structure to it, and I don't want it to be too soft. So I always do kind of over with it, but not to make butter. Like, you know, if you hit that magic spot and then suddenly you'll have made butter, which whatever, then you just start over. I mean, you just keep your butter and keep your leftovers. Okay, so this is beautiful. It looks just dandy. Okay, so now to assemble, I'm going to take my lady fingers. And this one is, oh, these are all really open. So I'm just going to start with this one. And normally this pan, which is like a, I don't know, 6x9 or something. Normally it takes like 20 fingers. I do 2 layers and usually 10 each. All right, so I want to stir this quickly just to make sure all your espresso powder is back into your liquid. And then you just dip quickly and dip again and put it down. So these soak up really fast. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and that's it. Like you don't want to hold them underneath for 5 seconds or anything. You really just do 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you lay them in your pan. And you want them to be really close to each other. This is something where you don't want like gaps at all in your lady fingers. And the little edges I have here, I'm also going to put lady fingers. I think that's what I do. Yeah. Well, we'll see how many. I usually always do 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is 7. Okay, so, and this one's already really soft. 7. Yeah, so I jam it down in there because these are all kind of soft now. And so this is kind of your substance layer. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So I'm going to jam another one in there because I use 20, I bet, because I get one on the next layer. And it's a little bit bigger. You know, my pan goes like this. Okay, so then you take half of your cream mixture and then you just spread it out. I mean, it's really kind of a simple dessert. And I think people are always afraid of it, but just do it. Like, you'll be able to do it. It's not that big of a deal. And if you are really nervous about the raw egg kind of thing, because we didn't like really cook our eggs, I think you just cook it longer, or you can find recipes online that kind of tell you how to use cooked eggs in a tiramisu. I'm just personally not worried about that, so I'm not gonna like cook my eggs too much. I'm a little bit worried though. I'm running out of espresso here. Gosh, I usually have a little bit more for all my fingers to go yet. We'll see. It's always a guessing game when you're cooking, which is kind of fun. I don't know. I like to make things just work out. But you can see on this side now, and see my bowl is a little bit. Now I almost need a saucer. Hang on, I'm going to switch. So it's really interesting. Sometimes when I make this is how much I have left after all my lady fingers are dipped. And then like today now, I'm going to barely have enough. So, oops, and maybe I don't usually do this because I usually have stuff. So we'll see how it works. But I'm always just really amazed. Like maybe I really dipped them longer than I usually do this morning, today when I was doing my other layer. Now look I've got 2 to go and I've got like hardly any, rats. Boy, this is kind of goofy. So if I've never had this happen before. So I tell you, like when you're cooking, things are always very flexible and you never know what's going to happen. But I don't really know that I want to make a teeny tiny amount of espresso, but I think I'm just going to take, this is my hot water from my double boiler. Oh wait, I can't put it in there. Here, we're just going to do it this way. I don't know, I'm just going to make a teeny tiny amount because I can, and I want that espresso taste for sure. So I have no idea what I'm doing. Never done this before, but I'm going to just make it right now so I can use my last finger. Yeah, I always have enough when I do 3/4. So I don't know. Who knows what I did different today? I might have just dipped him in longer. And I'm going to have to pour this in here. But then you guys see, like, cooking from scratch is a little bit fun because it is a little bit of a challenge. And I'm going to pour this right on there. Right on there. Why not? What the heck? Everything's new today. Okay, and then I'm going to finish off my cream. So I'm going to pour this on here. And I also really believe most times when you're cooking at home, everything turns out fine. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just too much of a casual cook, but I believe you just do it and people will eat it. So, because it's usually not like it's gonna not turn out. Okay, oh my gosh, this already looks just so good. I can't wait. Oh, and the really important thing with tiramisu is you have to let it rest. Like if I have tried this in, can some recipes say, oh, 6 to 8 hours? No, like some say 16, but everybody says 24. And I totally believe in the 24 because I did it once with like 8 hours and my fingers were not soft. It was kind of crunchy in there. And if you wait the full 24, then it's just like soft and it's just the best. So definitely this is a make ahead kind of dessert. Wow, and it's really messy, but that's okay. All right, now normally what I would do is just put saran wrap on this, put it in my fridge for 24 hours, and then when I'm going to serve it, I would pull it out and then I would dust it with cocoa powder. But because I'm not going to see you in 24 hours, I'm going to dust it now, which is fine. You can dust it right away. The only difference is that it will absorb in a little bit more and be a little bit darker. That's my opinion of how the difference is. Oopsie. And when you do it fresh, it's actually almost harder to eat because this powder is so fine. I call this my somber dessert. Like you can't be laughing as you're taking a bite, because like you breathe in and then all this cocoa powder goes like right down your lungs and then you start coughing like a maniac. So tomorrow when I serve this, my cocoa powder will not be so airy and nobody will choke on it. So that's a good thing. But I do like to do it right when I serve it. Okay, now I can already see that I didn't take the time to like smooth this all out. So I have these little like mountain peaks or whatever, and they're not getting all covered with cocoa, which doesn't really make me very happy because I do like it to be all smooth. So I just wasn't paying enough attention today, and I just was like, oh, that's good enough. So take the time and make it nice and smooth so that you don't have little mountains. Or if you really like the mountain look, that's okay too. Then, like if this was the next day and I was going to serve it right now, I always take my little finger and I wipe off all the cocoa powder so that it doesn't look so sloppy. Okay, now I'm going to put saran wrap on it, keep it in the fridge, and eat it tomorrow in 24 hours, and it should be delicious. So this pan, I cut in half, and then I cut in half again. I must get 8. Yeah, because I do 4 and 4. But my point is, because it's so deep, it's a little bit hard to get the first piece out, but it's still okay. And you know it's a success if it stays like as a block. Like once you pull this out, and I can't pull it out right now because obviously it won't work. But you can see my little layers here, and here's my other little layer. All of these should be kind of invisible tomorrow. But when you pull it out, it should stay as a solid little custardy puddingy mass. It shouldn't be like, like lose its shape. So if you've done it right, and I've never had one actually, like where I put it on the plate and it all just slides over. So it always works out, even when I just jimmy rig my espresso powder at the end. So I don't know. And I can't eat it right now because it's not ready, but I've been licking my fingers enough to know that it's all really yummy stuff. And I've made this enough to know I always use this recipe. So, okay, that's it. Tiramisu, ready for tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching Box Free with Stephanie. I hope you like the show. I really hope you make tiramisu because it's not crazy hard. It's a really delicious dessert. Thank you for watching the show. I appreciate your time. I'll see you next time. Bye.